I give gifts to everyone I see throughout my day with smiles, hugs, or by hearing what they have to say. I do have quite a few examples for this one today. And, yesterday again, I had practice in patience and self-confidence because I recorded a video just straight off the cuff about yesterday's rhyme, and I really like the points that I made and the way that I delivered the message. And then I went to edit it and there was no sound. So I re-recorded, and I was much less happy with how it came out the second time, but you know what? It happens, and here we are. So today's rhyme, and we are on the 6th of 10 affirmations, and I was actually going to just kind of review them since it's now kind of we're over the hump. We're halfway there, and so I thought, since I'm actually I challenged everybody to repeat them all as we go. So on day 1 you learned the first affirmation. On day 2 you would learn the second one but repeat the first one. On day 3 you would learn the third one but repeat the first and second and the third. If we were doing that, then it would sound something like this. I make plans but also try to accept events unplanned and say yes whenever I can lend a helping hand. Try to wait. Let that sink in. Let yourself, sort of what I do is I imagine that happening. I imagine somebody needing my help and me being in a good place and time to do it and offering that help. I also sometimes imagine myself not being in a good place and time to help and offering some positive feedback or a way to tell them that I'm really busy right now, but I would love to help them later. And when I'm done, I take a deep breath to show like I've accepted that affirmation as a way of life today. The second affirmation is, I'm allowed to step outside my comfortable comfort zone, and though I may be cautious, won't act on fear alone. And again, I just imagine myself, I think about my day and what I have planned, and I think about the things that might be challenging, and I tell myself that it's okay to move forward, and it's okay to make mistakes, because honestly, what holds me back from stepping outside my comfort zone is a fear of making mistakes. And all that is opportunity to show what a good person you are in a moment of, not so stellar performance, and also maybe like if you make a mistake that affects someone else, it's a good practice in apologizing. People sometimes think that they have to avoid the mistake to avoid the apology. I say just, practice getting really good at apologizing. If it was a mistake, you didn't mean to do it. Now, if you're going around like purposely hurting people, yeah, that's awful. And then apology kind of just doesn't really fix it like you fix yourself. But, mistakes are mistakes. Make them and apologize and move on. And then don't beat yourself up over it, because that's living life. You can't live your life without making mistakes. So go live, right? Okay, I'll try to make these short, sorry. I try to cultivate, this is the third one, I try to cultivate patience and tame my lion heart by working on my confidence, the horse before the cart. So again, we are just going to step outside our comfort zone and have the confidence that if something does go wrong, we will fix it because we are good people. We know how to apologize. And, another thing I like to say is I'm not going to make excuses. I'm living. I tried. I'm not going to not try. And simply saying I'm not going to make excuses is not saying I'm not going to be apologetic. It's not saying that I think everything I do is perfect. It's just saying, hey man, I gave it a try, it didn't work. I'm sorry if it inconvenienced you, and next time I know better, right? We learn from our mistakes. Opportunities. Okay, so Fourth one, I will love myself fully. It is my one true mission to love unconditionally. I do not need permission. Again, unapologetic, okay? You're going to live your life. You're going to make mistakes. You can say you're sorry, which is also an opportunity to tell someone you love them, right? By saying, I am sorry, deeply sorry for how this happened, or for the fact that I was late, right? What you're saying is, I love you and I appreciate you, or I respect you, and I wasn't intending to do that to you. Okay? I will walk and exercise, drink water, take the stairs. Eating well is always wise. I know my body cares. Remember, it does matter. And if you're going to talk the talk, walk the walk, right? Don't just say, I'm going to love myself, and then sit on the couch for 5 hours and eat, Krispy Kremes or something, okay? Because that's not really loving yourself. So take care of your body. And then 2 days, we take that love for ourselves and our body and we extend it outwardly. And Jen Sincero actually writes a really great chapter about this in her book, You Are Badass, where she talks about, and actually she gives you a lot of references to other books that also talk about giving gifts is how you receive gifts. So being fortunate just means being generous. Honestly, and I have practiced this for at least 3 years now, and I can tell you, the more gifts I give, the more I get. And I am surrounded by people that amaze me every day, and I wonder, how did I get here? And then I think, well, honestly, I'm not trying to be conceited. I'm kind of one of those people who is making their lives amazing too. So we're just giving gifts like crazy. There's actually there's a couple different analogies too, where people talk about your warm fuzzies, right? You have a wagon or a bucket or a cup of warm fuzzies, or in my family, we call them sticks. There's sticks in my cup, sticks in my bucket. And when you go throughout your day giving your sticks away, people want to give you their sticks back. And then you always have a full bucket. But if you go through your day constantly taking sticks from people, you think you'll have a full bucket, but really what happens is, because you're taking people, you're draining their buckets. So then they need to take from you. And before you know it, everybody's bucket is just different variations of emptying. Sorry, excuse me. And so I like that analogy. So when we talk about giving gifts, and again, I say, I give the gifts to everyone I see throughout my day with smiles, hugs, or by hearing what they have to say. Greatest quote I could ever, and I can't really quote it directly. I know the person's name was Jonathan Lemmer, oh man, I don't remember. I'll put it up on the screen. How's that? And in his meditation, he said, listening is the best gift you can give to people around you. And I thought about that really long and hard, because honestly, that's difficult for me. I always have felt like someone who doesn't get listened to enough, and I always am trying to be heard. And so making that switch to not trying to be heard so much, but instead just trying to listen better. It's amazing how much better you get listened to, because you're no longer blasting, right? And then people have always said, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Or if when you're talking, you can't be listening. And so that was something that I had to work with too, is listening is the gift that you can give. So sometimes, and here's an example for you. I went into an office just the other day, and was met with, when you walk in and you think somebody's gonna be like, hey, how can I help you? And instead it was like, yeah, what? And it just seemed like I was like I killed this person's puppy or something, like I didn't destroy your universe. Why the attitude? And so I was with my husband. We told her what we were there for, and again, just kickback, like just kind of this push. And I think, you don't have to diagnose people. I think for her, it was that we caught her at a bad time. She was taking down Christmas decorations. Maybe that's depressing for her. I don't know. It doesn't matter. She was in a bad mood. And she made kind of a feeble attempt to apologize, because we were just kind of like, we're just trying to do this thing, get this done. And at one point she said, I'm sorry, sorry about the mess. I'm taking down Christmas decorations. And in that moment, I had a choice. I could acknowledge the fact that, yeah, you seem a little bent out of shape, which probably wasn't going to help our situation. Or I could not say anything. And instead, I chose to say, well, the Christmas decorations looked beautiful when they were up. Or I said something to that effect. I gave a compliment. I complimented the work that had been done that she was now having to undo and probably putting her in a bad mood. The point is, it was amazing how quickly that kind of turned her around. And I get it. It's difficult sometimes giving somebody a compliment when they seem to be wanting to get their claws out at you. That's practice. Practice makes perfect. Somebody wants to say something rude or mean, practice saying something nice back. One of my favorite scenes in the Gilmore Girls is when Rory is talking. I don't know if you've ever seen this, but there's a kid named Jess, and he kind of gets in a lot of trouble, and Rory's this really good girl, and she says something like, why do you read that or whatever, or I can't stand that person. And Jess just kind of looks at her and says, well, he has nothing but nice things to say about you. And it was this really cool way of saying, give somebody a second chance. Or it was an author, and she just didn't want to read the author, but you get the point. He turned it into something nice and pushed it back to her. And sometimes I just think of that, right? I have another example is I have a friend who is, and we all do this sometimes, right? When I was talking yesterday about you leave your water in the break room, the first recording I had done of that, I was joking about, if you're like me, you're just like, what is wrong with me? Am I eating right? Am I drinking enough water? Am I getting enough sleep? How am I forgetting stuff? Why am I leaving it in the break room? What is wrong with me? And you want to tear yourself down. I have a friend who will outwardly tear herself down. Just say, I'm sorry. Oh, I suck. I'm a bad friend. I am so sorry I didn't get back to you, or whatever. And every time now I've kind of practice makes perfect. I've practiced this, and she'll say something negative about herself, and I will say, you shouldn't talk about my friend that way. Or, I wish you wouldn't say bad things about my friend. I really like you. And I'm not trying to, lecture her about how she talks about herself. I mean, she knows me, and we've, hung out a lot. And so she knows that given the opportunity, I will lecture her about how she talks about herself, because she is an amazing person. And I've told her that constantly. And I think deep down she believes it, but she still sometimes will make those comments to me, and I'll say, oh, you should not talk about my friend that way. And I've realized, I can say that about anybody. If somebody tells me I suck, I can say, you shouldn't talk about my friend that way. I happen to love myself. Or if you want to say that you suck, or this other person, I can say, they are good people. And it's okay. You're not saying you suck for saying that. You're just pushing something positive back. So compliments are some of the easiest forms of gifts that you can give. Listening is one of the most passive forms of gifts you can give. Active listening, obviously. And you'd be surprised what people tell you, too. Sometimes you get really good ideas for gifts for somebody, like actual physical gifts, when a holiday comes around or their birthday, because you listened. And then, of course, I do have listed on this rhyme, it says, with a hug or a smile. Oh, my gosh, smiles, right? The universal language, give somebody a smile. But, it doesn't stop there. Try this. If you have a hard time just starting your day out on a positive note, or feeling good about yourself, or even wanting to be at your place of employment, try saying, okay, today I'm going to give more gifts than I usually do, or I'm going to try to give 3 compliments today, or give 3 gifts today. 3 gifts is good, because a compliment's just a form of a gift. So the first person you see, smile and say good morning, or good afternoon, good evening, whenever you go to work. Then maybe the next person you see, remember, a compliment is not sexual harassment. So you can say, well, I really like that color on you, or not on you, sorry. I really like that color. Or, man, that's a cool shirt. Or what what a great sweater. I was at the grocery store, and this kid doing the checkout line. Not sure if he was meaning to flirt with me. It doesn't really matter because he wasn't. He said, though, oh, I really like your necklace. And I was like, oh, thanks. And he's like, come to think of it, I like your glasses too. Like, well, okay, thank you. Little compliments. Those aren't like, he's not like saying stuff like, oh, you're hot or whatever, which, people can take one way or the other. He's actually complimenting the things that I have picked out for myself. Actually, this was a gift. But by complimenting something that somebody has chosen to put on their bodies that day, you are complimenting them, their taste, right? Another way to give a gift is just, there's just too many ways, right? So the next person you see, ask them how they're doing. If they tell you, just listen. It's really easy. And, it doesn't happen immediately. I think when I first started this, I got a couple of times when I was like, another thing that Jen Sincero wrote in her book was something about, when things do go wrong, just see them as kind of a test. Because sometimes when things don't go your way, it's like testing your resolve to be a good person. And I remember a lot of times in the beginning thinking, this is just a test. This is just a test, And it really was, just to see if I could remain in a positive light and giving gifts even when I feel like people are pulling them sticks right out of my bucket. And anyway, you just don't let them pull them out. You hand them out. And you'll be surprised how many you get back. Warm fuzzies, sticks, glass half full, whatever you want to picture the vessel and the goodness inside is. That's what this rhyme today is about. Giving gifts to everyone you see throughout your day, even if it's just to hear what they have to say. And that's all. Hey, you know what? Thanks for listening to me today. Happy Wednesday, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow.